I am a temple who walks the earth. My womb is fertile for giving birth. I am a woman planted in truth. I grow my branches from sacred roots. You are the form of who you want to be. So come untethered, your soul is free. We're here to heal, we're here to thrive. We are a dream who's come alive. We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination for God's sake. A revelation for God's sake. An evolution for God's sake. An inspiration for God's sake. 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 For God's sake.
And so it is. Hello, Essence. This is Jody England, and you are listening to Wild Soul Medicine Radio. It's a joy to be here with you today. I so love our weekly, it really feels like devotional time together. I know many of you listen regularly and kind of use this time as like business school and church and coaching and therapy and all of those things. And it's all of those things for me as well. It does feel like there's a magical alchemy in this gathering that we're doing and this commitment that we have to coming here and excavating what is real, what is true for us and alive in a moment, and taking a really discerning internal look at what is not that, what's alive for us that's not really us and what's not really true, so that we can cast that away and come back into fullness with what is. And so today my intention is to take callers again. We did that last week, and we typically don't do it a couple weeks in a row. But as I tuned in this morning to see what wants to be shared, what is the medicine or the lesson for us this week, and I could just feel you all. I could feel the intensity of what's churning in the space, and I do feel like there's a lot up right now. I think so much was catalyzed by the equinox, and it definitely hasn't come into resolution. Like everyone I know, including friends and colleagues and current clients and past clients, like there is major work being done. There are old patterns resurfacing. There are, huge insights and awarenesses that are coming forward for nearly everyone. And I think it's because it's time. I feel like each of these portals we walk through cosmically, with the eclipses all in a row and the full moons and the blood moons and the, all of that. I just think, and the 2012 portal, 2013, 2014, right? Like each of those gets stronger and stronger. And so if you're noticing that in your space, I think it's just worth noting that, it doesn't mean you're especially broken. It just means we're being called to do our work at a deeper, more intense level, I think, than ever before. And so you can try to run away from it or procrastinate about it or, look the other direction, and you're going to just get ever more intense taps on the shoulder saying, look at this. And then it's going to be right in front of your face where you have no choice to look at it. So I'm in service of that. I want you to have the openings that you're calling forward, and I want you to cast off these old, these old pieces of like concrete density that are hanging around in your space that you haven't been able to shed simply because you haven't understood them or known that they are there. So that's what we're doing today. I'm going to be opening the phone lines. If you already know you want to call in, the number is 937-552-2747, 937-552-2747. I'm not putting any parameters around it today. I'll talk to you about anything. Wherever you're stuck, wherever you're desiring to be free, let's do that. I'm also open to hearing from the women we talked with last week, because I feel like there's one of the topics that's kind of up for me personally is this idea of contraction. So what happens in evolution is we have a big expansion, and then, evolution is like nature. She is always our goddess and our guide and our template for what's true. And in nature, there's respiration. So there's out and in, and everything respires. And so in our own evolution, we'll do the same. We'll have a big outflow, right? A huge awareness, a huge growth, a big breakthrough. And then there will naturally come the respiration, the in, right? And so I'm personally in a bit of an in after so much expansion, over 6 weeks or 8 weeks or so. And, and I've had, some of that over that time, right? Big expansion, then kind of a big contraction with the whole kidney stone situation. But really that felt more like an outward to me. It was more of an out. And then, I was in that beautiful, tender space of vulnerability and essence and openness. And now I've just come up against the in, which is just some prickliness and like, what do I do with this now? And why isn't, my life totally lining up? Because I was really hoping, there was going to be some amount of like aha or integration or ease and grace that was different from before. And yet I still have to make decisions in my business, and I still have to deal with problems and issues and minutia, right? And so, that's very, very natural. And I felt called to say that because I feel like, even as you listen to the show and you hear the breakthroughs that women are having, there's a way that your ego can latch on to like, if I just got a reading, then everything would be perfect. Or if I was just that woman and I could do what she did, then I'm going to be good. And, and you attach to this idea of happily ever after, right? Which is why I'm interested in potentially hearing from women from last week, because it doesn't have to all be, hearts and rainbows. Sometimes we open and we might open a Pandora's box, which causes a lot more turbulence on the way to the expansion, right? And then after the expansion, there's maybe some ease and grace, and then there's going to be the contraction. And so, I always just want to keep normalizing this process instead of it being like, oh, we didn't get it, or, oh, we did the wrong thing, or, oh, I'm still broken. What we're normalizing, this is the way to evolutionary velocity. When we normalize the respiration, right? The breathing, we don't make the in-breath wrong. You have to have an in-breath or you can't have an out-breath, And so really that's what we're playing at. And then, that's kind of the bigger arc of what we're up to. And then in the density underneath that, we're looking at these tense places where there's, stuckness and confusion, and you can't really see what's actually in the way. So if you want to play with me live, I know we sent the email out late, so we'll see if anybody shows up live. And if not, we've got plenty of other things to talk about. But the call-in number is 937-552-2747. And Viv, if you would just let me know if we do have people on the line or not. And if we do, you can go ahead and put the first one through. There's a little bit of a lag between when Viv hears me say that and when, we're ready for the first one. Okay, great. She was typing me that as I was saying it. We're really getting better at our telepathy, but it's not like completely spot on just yet. So we do still have to rely on words occasionally. Great. So it looks like we're going to have a first caller here in just a moment. I have a sense of the other theme that will emerge. What I love about as we take callers is even though we don't plan a theme, there usually ends up emerging some kind of a theme that runs through the either the soul paths or the particular medicine or whatever. So you just have to love how energy works. So we'll see what our theme ends up being for today. All right, so let's take our first caller. Hi, this is Jody. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, Jody. This is Katie.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Thank you for calling in. Tell me what's happening for you. What would you like some help with today?
Now, let's see. I am just getting done with a busy period in my life, and now I'm in a less busy period and not having much motivation to get organized to do the contracting work that I have to do. I wonder if you might be able to see something connected to what might be holding me back there.
So it was, just to make sure I couldn't hear you totally clearly, you've just finished a what kind of period and you're now on a what kind of period?
First thing was busy, which was preparing for a show with someone else. That was Tech Week and all that kind of busyness.
Mm-hmm.
And now less busy and getting more into ordinary work.
Got it. Okay, so you finished a busy period and now you're in a less busy period and you're finding yourself not motivated to step into the contract work. Do you want to say anything about what kind of contract work it is?
I work as an AutoCAD drafter, helping with my dad's engineering office.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
I work at home usually instead of having a desk in the office.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So when I take a look, what I notice actually is kind of about work, but there's the bigger picture, which is I see you kind of disconnected from your desire and your life force in general, right? So there's a way that you've been going through the motions and, I think probably successfully and well, and you're now at a place where the thing you haven't been seeing is calling you, which is, what's your point? And that feels like the hollowness of the contract work is like, why am I doing this? Where's my, I don't feel a lot of joie de vivre around it, like a lot of interest or desire. It feels very black and white, or like gray rather than technicolor, like, wow, this really turns me on or lights me up. You know what I mean?
Yep, I can see that.
Yeah.
So this is my dad's life work. That's not really mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I understand, I understand why you've supported it, in some ways it's easy. You love him. He needs you. Like all of those reasons we say yes to things. And and yet I can see your root really like searching for like, where's my fertile ground? What actually feeds me? Because we can only feed other people's dreams for so long before our own roots start desiring nutrients, Yeah. Yeah. So I get curious, is there anything in your life that really turns you on?
Yeah, I have my work. It doesn't pay much, but I'm a pianist. I play for my church and a couple of local musical groups.
Mm-hmm. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being as much as you could possibly imagine yourself being turned on, how much does the piano playing for church do that for you?
So some things are going that week, but that's pretty good. 7 or 8 most of the time.
A 9? Is that what you said?
7 or 8 most of the time.
7 or 8. Got it. Yeah. All right. Great. So there's one place where you have a pathway. So that's beautiful. So would you be willing to play and see if we might be able to free up some more pathway to allow you to connect with desire?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. And you're welcome to disagree if there's another way you'd like to go with it. Are you still with me?
Yep, that's all right.
Okay, great. So even this, right, like this having a preference or set, because I can even feel it in there. There's like you've really learned to withdraw yourself from having preferences, So it feels like there's quite a disconnect in your system around what you would really like to do. And there's a way that you kind of show up as a blank canvas for what other people would like to have you do. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah.
To some extent, but how I've learned to be as a piano accompanist work with what the director chooses.
Totally right. Isn't that a great metaphor? I'm the accompanist. What would you like? I will support you in that, which is beautiful. And absolutely some of us have life paths that are around that, and there's a way that you can use that to bypass being the fullness of what you are. So you can be an accompanist who is completely attached to her desire, right? And then your accompanying has a whole different musicality to it. You know what I mean?
I see.
Yeah. So it's not about becoming somebody you're not. I don't know that you're somebody that's going to be out in front of the orchestra or like the lead singer, but I definitely feel like there's a way that you can put yourself more into your life and it will feel completely different to you and the people that you support.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's explore that a little bit.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. So let's just tune in here for a minute. I'd like to see. Yeah, it really feels like it's in your root. And it's related to life force. So I want you to imagine, so your root chakra is the lowest one. So it's actually right between your legs, right in your yoni. And I want you to just tune in and see if you can feel, first of all, can you even feel that chakra at all? Do you feel like there's a space for it? Does it feel like there's something there at all? I mean, we know there's the physical yoni actually there, right? But like energetically, what we're feeling into is, what does it feel like to you?
I'm feeling a little pulsing something there.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty small and maybe not as expressed as it would like to be.
Yeah, I get that too. And it's very much like you are. So it's pulsing and it's looking for something, but it's very polite. And it's like, well, I would like something, but unless it inconveniences someone, and then I won't do that, So it's not demanding. It's not like voraciously looking. It's just like kind of politely feeling. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So I'd like you to see if you can connect with that part of yourself. And just energetically sort of arrive in that space and see if you can see, like to me, it looks like there's one or two little, like when you first start a bulb, there's just like those little hair sort of roots. Kind of looks like that to me. Great. So just see if you can connect with them first. Yep. And then see if you can have an interaction with the roots that are already there. So like, can you touch one or hold one or feel it? Maybe even just stroke it and like thank it for still being alive and for searching out some nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what comes up for you as you connect with that piece?
So thinking about these two little tendrils, that comes up immediately, I think, is music and dance. So something I've been reaching towards connecting with a little bit this week. I started going to a class with someone I know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Beautiful. Good. So really validate that one. Validate that that tendril for doing what it's been doing. Like, thank you for that. Because I feel like it's a little bit looking for permission from you and assurance that it's okay to do that. And this is part of you shifting, right? So what you've become...
Just because I want to.
Yeah, say that again.
To seek out something just because I want to.
Yes, right? Yeah. So that's what I was going to add is you've become really good at needing permission outside yourself for validating what you're up to. And so this is a new way of you being your own permission. You know, this internal, like, yeah, I'm doing it because I said I want to do it. Yeah. So from here, I'd like you to imagine you could look at the bottom of we'll just call it a bulb, you know, where this little, where this little root is coming from, and see what would need to happen so you could like open the space to allow more roots to grow down. You know, like, does it need some dirt cleared off? Does it need, healed or watered or supported in some way?
The image I'm getting is sort of something being scraped off of the bottom there.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling too. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and do that. Imagine you could create a tool that would just gently loosen any of that old debris. And this is just all the gunk, you know, that you've picked up over your life of like, it's not good to be connected to my own desire. Just imagine you can lovingly start to brush that away. And let's imagine there's a grounding receptacle right under. So anything you brush away will just go down and out of your space.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. Keep cleaning a little bit more, even in the nooks and crannies. We don't need to leave any of that. Let's just leave it wide open and healthy. Yep. Good. Good. So as you clear that dirt away, what do you notice? What's left?
Kind of a lighter, freer feeling again.
Mm-hmm.
Able to open up a little more.
Yep. Yep. I see that too.
Radiating, like roots can go off in many directions now.
Yes. Yeah. And aren't there so many started? Like I see there's, it's... Yeah, lots of them were waiting for freedom. So let's see, is there anything you could do to encourage them? Like, could you put a little fertilizer on them or some nice fresh spring water to bring them to life? What would give them a little boost?
Pouring some water on those would be good for them.
Great. Go ahead and do that. Yeah, and then here's what I'm getting. So there's a way that you've had all those beautiful receptors pointed toward everyone else, right? So it's like, okay, what is your desire? Let me plug into that. And what's being called for is you actually pointing them down into the ground.
Oh.
Yeah, something magical will happen when you do that. So can we play with that?
Okay.
Great. All right. So let's imagine you can point your root down toward the ground energetically. Yep. And then imagine that the ground begins to beckon you, right? So the water that's in the earth and the dirt and the nutrients that are there start to sing you a song, right? And as that happens, yeah, those roots begin to grow and make their way down. Just ever so gently. Yeah, good job. And then you'll notice, right? So some mind things might happen as this is occurring or some warnings, you know. And for the most part, you can just kind of let those make their way out. You don't really have to entertain them unless they become persistent. So just allow the process to occur and let your mind be soft. There you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then imagine that you can allow this connection into the earth to be really organic, right? So there's a thought process of like, am I going to get stuck here? Am I going to be rooted? Like, what if someone shows up in my space and then I need to connect to them, but I'm connected to the earth, you know? Can you feel that sort of like tug? Like, it's kind of good, but then am I stuck here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so just notice that and then make any adjustments that would make that like a looser connection. So maybe the roots can go in the earth and you've got plenty of slack above the ground. So it doesn't feel like you're being pulled down or it's too tight. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, still some looseness in the connection.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Some freedom.
Okay. Kind of wiggle and move a little.
Yep. Yeah, beautiful. Great. So let's just play here for a minute. I'd like you to imagine now that you can tune in to the very slight experience of your roots beginning to interact with the earth, right? So they can begin to bring the nutrients from the earth up into the roots, right? So it's going to be energetic. So I like to kind of imagine it as like brownish, goldish sparkles, you know? Yep, and just feel those making their way up the root. Yeah, and then as they actually touch your physical body, you might start to feel little kind of like shoots of like, ooh, what was that? Or, oh, that was there was a little something. Mm-hmm. There you go. Yeah, and you can just continue to let that happen. This is the beginning of, I feel like turn on is a powerful word for maybe your system yet, but it's like, this is the beginning of allowing your system to come back to life. Just these little bits of influx. Yep. And so
that's nice.
That's nice. Is that what you said? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and you can play with the volume of it. So if you'd like more, you can just imagine that you can open the roots to receive more. And then if it becomes too much, you can just turn them down a little. There you go. Perfect. And then as you play with it, you can begin to allow that energy to make its way up into your body, right? So up your midline and up through your chakras, tingling through your belly and your rib cage, right? All the way up. So I would suggest like a daily meditation practice where, you spend...
connecting the roots like that.
Totally. At least 10 or 15 minutes a day, just expanding your capacity to be with that feeling of aliveness. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you can play with it, right? So from there, you can practice doing it in the places you already are. Like, what does it feel like to do this before you play piano? What does it feel like to play piano just for yourself? From this feeling, like with no one listening and for no productive purpose, but just for you, just so you can hear the music, right? And from there, like what kind of music do you play for yourself? I feel like that's a beautiful place for you to start exploring. And then, you can also notice, can you do this when you're doing your contract work? Is there something else that lights you up more? And so it's for you, it's really this is exactly what I was feeling was going to be our other conversation is what's calling me right now. And I feel like what's calling so many is there's a call toward a fierce internal listening, right? A fierce internal listening. And it's so easy to go external with, for one, that's how you're wired. And then for two, there's, listening to like, what's Jody saying? And then what medicine is happening on the show? And then what is my next coach? And what we're mostly all avoiding is internal listening with what's happening in our system and what's calling to us and what do we actually feel and what are we aligned with, That's the more challenging place to explore. So what are you noticing? Katie, what are you noticing?
Some of that energy flowing. I'm getting a little picture of it going up through the center of my body and making a flower blossoming out the top of my head there.
Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. Good. So I'm going to let you continue to play with this. This feels like a great beginning for today. And, you can be really gentle with yourself. So there is no done with this. That's not about, getting to someplace, but just continuing to expand the capacity and continuing to play with the sensations. And then what does that end up looking like out in the world? Good. Thank you for being willing to let us play with you. It was beautiful.
Well, thank you, Jody.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that was really interesting for me.
All right, sweetness. Bye for now. Okay. Whew. Let's all take a big breath from there. And we'll let Viv get caught up and we'll put the next caller through. But while we're waiting for that, let's all just receive a breath. And notice what is occurring for you as a result of witnessing that session. I can feel for some of you, there's like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And you're right along with Katie. And for some of you, there might be irritation, right? Irritation at the cadence, irritation at the speed or the whatever your story is about it. Notice that as well, right? So if that's coming up for you, there's medicine for you also, probably even more medicine if there's trigger around it. And so just notice, like, is there a way that you're avoiding this particular conversation? Is there a match in you that you're not wanting to see? Because, and this conversation and that exercise is something that every single one of us needs, is more connection to our turn on, more discernment and relationship with our own life force and where we are turning our plug-in, right? If we're plugging into others versus plugging down and in so that we are centered in ourselves and available for this fierce internal listening that's calling to us, right? So sometimes we get frustrated with the external because we're searching so hard for like an answer to fix us. That's exactly what was happening to me yesterday. I was looking for a health practitioner to support this next phase of my journey. And I was disappointed all day long with every conversation I had. And then I was just telling my husband about it this morning, and I was having this remembering that I actually got some very clear information about needing to internally listen to myself more than anyone else. And I was like, dang it, no wonder, right? So just some sweet sugar to go with that medicine and help it sit a little easier in your system if that wasn't feeling really great to you. Okay, so let's say hello to our next caller. Hi, this is Jody. You're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, Jody. This is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. This is my first time calling ever on any radio show.
I love that. Thank you for having the courage to dial.
Thank you. It was kind of a mistake, and I guess it was one of those happy accidents.
Yeah, well, this is not like an easy. Of course, this is not an easy show to call into. It's not your typical radio show. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So tell me, what's happening with you?
All right. So I love, first of all, very beautiful to listen to you working with the last caller, and you said something towards the end that just so described kind of what I'm about in my world and in my work, in my calling, the work that is my calling, and yet I have this timidity and difficulty articulating what it is that I do, and it's holding me back from really launching this work in the world. And I work with people in a very deep, somatic way, kind of through coaching. And you said, I loved what you said, the fierce internal listening, such as a strong call to the, I already get tongue-tied even reading your words, a strong call to the external, and we're tuning into what's happening in our system, what's calling to us, what we actually feel, what we're aligned with. And I would add, and then we're reattuning the movement of our lives to reflect this inner listening. And the result is a greater communion with all of life, greater intimacy, greater satisfaction in life. But there's some big block that I have about sharing this work.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'm really called. And I'm very expressive in many ways in my life, very communicative. It's a strong skill of mine, and yet somehow here I lock up.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I see you. I share a lot of those as well. I had very similar, if you've read any of my, musings and things, like I'm a really brilliant writer. And for years I was like, I don't know, I do this, like 10 years. I do this really deep process, but I can't really tell anyone what it is. And so I don't know, if you don't get it, it must not be for you.
Right. Or nobody really wants this. I mean, it's too far out. It's too intimate. It's too something.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally. So that's where we're going to go. This is the block that I see actually is there's, so it's not about the words, right? The words are a reflection, or the lack of words are a reflection of this bigger block. And the block to me looks like many lifetimes of this struggle. It almost looks like you carrying this heavy weight, like dragging this weight behind you. And the weight is, so you tend to be at the edge, right? The edge of evolution and the edge of introducing the new vibrations, which I do too. And the difficult thing about that is most people don't get it. And so I can feel all of this old grief and, yeah, grief around, they didn't get me. Yeah. So let's deal with that if you're willing.
Yeah, I am.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're willing, if you would imagine that you could turn around and see this giant heavy load that you've been dragging behind you, and just see if you could be with it and see it.
It's a really long caravan.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And there's a way that you haven't wanted to be with it. So you drag it behind you, trying to pretend like it isn't there because it's so painful. And yet there's a way that you could be with it and actually appreciate it for what it was, right? And your system's like, what was there to appreciate? They didn't get it.
No, I'm just I feel the ship turning slowly towards that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe even just have an energetic experience with it. That's not a mind thing. So maybe you scoop up some handfuls of it and like paint it on your face, or hug it to your chest.
Mm-hmm. 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 Hugging it feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, I can feel your devotion to your work.
Mm. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It's good work. It's always been good work. You can feel that and appreciate that about it. Yeah. Yeah, and you can also feel there's a whole current of failure in this pile, you know? So let's just be with that idea of failure for a minute.
Okay.
You may have to dig down a few layers to really feel that. Just kind of scoop some dirt aside.
Shame. Shame comes in kind of a hiding, like my head and shoulders kind of want to tuck in a way like a turtle.
Yeah, I know that one. Yeah, and so just see if you can feel the shame. I'm right here with you. I promise you won't drown in it, but just see if you could feel it.
Interesting. My shoulders are just started trembling, like quivering.
Yep. Yeah, and it's this, it's that fear of the shame that has you turning away but dragging it behind you, you know? Yes, and one of the ways that I find useful to be with an energy like this is just questioning it. Like, did I do it wrong? Maybe you did. We don't know. Believe me, I've blown up some dimensions, babe. I have like done some shit wrong in my incarnation. So maybe yes. But also let's just see. Let's become curious.
There's just such a tender innocence, a feeling of tender innocence that comes in response. So I think for the first layer, no.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I get that too. So let's kind of follow that shame line. To me, it looks like it runs all through the middle of the pile and just, let's look at the next part. Did I do this part wrong?
Okay. I'm getting some tightening in the throat. Which feels more like a yes.
Yeah. So feel into that and feel, so what's my lesson? What's my lesson from having done it wrong that time?
Listening. Better listening.
What kind of listening?
Heart listening. Like listening to, I think, hearing others through the heart.
Yeah. What kind of listening did you do instead of that time?
There was some judgment. Like I just felt this shield go up in front of my whole chest. And kind of a tight tension in the brain. Yeah.
What I saw was there were so many voices in that lifetime. Like everyone was telling you, like what to be, what to think, what they thought of it, and it was so overwhelming. It looks like you got lost in it a little, or were swimming in it. There felt like an element of like trying to please them too, like to give them what they wanted or what they thought they needed. I don't know if that's true, but you can try it on.
Yeah, I mean, I get a sense maybe the shield was from that, just like some kind of protection for myself.
Yeah. Yeah, because it can feel your...
And what's interesting is...
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I haven't really had much of that in this lifetime, this current lifetime, of anybody projecting that on me, needing me to please them, or had a lot of leeway.
Yeah, because you don't put yourself out there anymore.
Oh, well, I don't put myself out for pleasing. Well, I guess I did earlier, but Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've played with the dynamic, but I feel like right now, one of the defenses, without having examined that life up until now is, I won't say what my work is so that I don't have to get a bunch of opinions about who likes it and who doesn't. And if they think, whatever, all of that stuff. So you just like hold it close to your vest, literally, energetically. Yep.
Yes, and when I do share it, in a experiential way, it's gotten, and people, I don't get that questioning or that judgment. So I have that experience, but I'm still holding it close.
Yeah. Oh, sister, we are walking a similar path. I see you. Yep. Yeah. So I get curious, as we learn this information about, what happened, if actually it was wrong, or if it was a learning that was necessary for you to be able to do the work you're here to do now.
That feels truer in my system.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had to lay a lot of groundwork for what's available to happen right now. Yep. So let's see if there's anything that needs to happen to clear any last bits of shame from that lifetime. If you can just bless it, like, oh, that was good learning. Like, thank you. Thank you for that book in the library.
My hands just came up in prayer. Gratitude.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, mine too. Thank you for doing that learning for us. Beautiful. So let's move on down the line and just see, is the rest of that shame something we can just clear out, or does it also need looked at? I feel like there is one last piece that's wanting to be looked at. Do you get that?
Yeah, I do. There's like a little, it's like a little quiver or anxiety in my heart.
Yeah, it's saying like,
but
but don't forget this one. This is important. We definitely can't let go of this one. Yep. So let's just feel into that. Let's feel into that. What do you see?
Burning, like there's I just get an image of, I get a feeling of like a pull between my heart and my chin and throat, like all the way down in a line, and it almost like burned skin, scar tissue, tight.
Yeah. And so what do you think about that?
I think I was injured. Somebody injured me as a result of something I was offering.
Agreed. Yeah. Feels witchy, medicine womany.
It does, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I think it's significant that it registers in your throat as well. Yeah. Not even just what you were offering, but speaking what you were offering resulted in a pretty traumatic death is what it looks like. Yep. Yeah.
And I clench my teeth at night, and I have since I was a kid. So it's like there may be a connection there.
Yeah. So let's just see what needs to happen. I wonder if you could bring that self forward before she was burned, Let's bring her forward and see if she has anything to say to you.
I'm just hearing, daughter, you are wise.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So far.
Yeah. Do you have a question for her?
Mm. What will help set me free?
Mm-hmm.
And getting still water.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just offer you a question that feels like it might get you there quicker. Was it worth it? Or did I do it wrong?
Could you say what you said just in the beginning of that sentence? I didn't hear.
Mm-hmm. Was it worth it? Might be a question that would get you where you want to go quicker. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Definite yes.
Yeah, right. Totally, she says. Totally worth it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's like...
There's no fear there.
Right. She had a knowing, right? She was very wise. Like, she knew. Mm-hmm. She knew it wasn't just about that go-round.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you know that too, except for there's this part of you that just got stuck there, like in the pain and the trauma of that experience. And it was like, nope, no more of that. Not signing up for that again. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And in that, you know, there's also medicine for this life. There's medicine about being conscious of how we speak about and who we speak and doing it from a place of clarity, right? And aligning with others. And I mean, so many lessons from that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
A depth of the sacredness of what you're up to.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah.
True that, yes.
Yeah. And I see another form of that. Like it was also another version of laying a vibration here on this planet with these people that they weren't ready for then, which is why the, you know, dramatic burning. But it had to be laid so that we could be available for it now, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you could maybe just thank her for taking one for the team on that one. Yeah. And also feeling how she's like, I didn't really have to take anything. I'm infinite. It was no big deal. You know? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yep.
She's giving me something in my hands. It's a stone.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. So I wonder from here if, do you want to say anything about the stone?
Just really smooth and fits right in the palm of my hand, like an oval, flat oval. It feels really good to hold it.
I love that. So let's see if we could open a grounding receptacle kind of near this pile of stuff. And you could even just call in some of your guides or helpers to push the whole pile. If you're willing to let it go, it feels like we're pretty complete with it. Just going to push it down into the grounding receptacle. Letting it go.
They're all attached by rope or chain, so they're just pulling each other down. Now that the first one went in.
Great. Oh, yep. There you go. Ooh, that's a lot lighter. Yeah. Good. And so, what I'm just called to share with you is the shift. So the old paradigm is they don't get me. The new paradigm, the new earth, is I get me. Right? Yeah. It's the deeper version of this fierce listening, right? Where we're so internal, we're so connected that being in our essence is the thing. And it is the pathway. So it's not about people following us or doing the things we do, right? But it's about us being fully essence. And then you do some work in the world, right? So you do whatever you do. You do this practice. You do this amazing healing. But your actual healing for the planet is you being you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And that's the sense that I get. And it's like I haven't given myself, I'm still giving myself permission to let that be that.
I know, because it doesn't it feel like with all of that past life, I've done the same work that you're doing right here, is like, but in the old lives, the directive was, spread the word, heal the people, take the medicine, like put it out there. And, and so this whole lifetime, I've had that same wrestling of like, am I going to just be me? Because I can feel like that's the directive this lifetime, but then how's the work going to get out there? And they felt like opposite things,
Yeah, and then to do work that doesn't feel directly in line with this, it doesn't look like this, to make my rent doesn't feel right at all either. And I've been trying to because I do other work to pay the rent mostly. I've been trying to bring more and more of this into that, which feels like a wonderful practice. And yet I know that work is not ultimately where I am to spend my time.
Yeah. And so here's what I get for you is you doing more of this brilliant work that you're called here to do, the somatic work, is it's not about marketing it. It's about you showing up. So now you have the availability to show up without that heavy burden behind you, which was almost like an invisibility cloak, right? So when you have that, they didn't get me. No one can get you. Literally, they can't even get to you, But without it, now you show up and you're going to magically start being in contact with people who need exactly what you do. And it's not going to take any words. It's not going to take, I can't tell you how many people have signed up for, my multiple $1,000 courses, who say to me, I didn't actually know what you did, but I just knew I had to be with you. Right?
Awesome. As soon as you said I won't have to do the marketing, I had this huge, thank God. Thank God. Huge relief. There's so much resistance to that.
Yeah. You can just let go of that. Right down the grounding receptacle. That is not where it's at for you. No. You show up and be you. That's it. And you have a big capacity. You have a big, big essence. And it's not about doing anything. It really is this ease and grace and, letting go of the doing. That's part of the gift that you bring.
You get me.
I do. Yeah.
That's so cool. Thank you.
I do. And I thank you. I thank you for being here holding that space. with all of us here on the edge, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Lisa, my
I'm
love.
glad I made that call today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
And thanks to your the person who answered the call who insisted a little bit lovingly, like, there must be a reason you accidentally made this phone call.
That's Viv. That's Viv. We love her. She sees you too.
All right.
Beautiful. All right, my love. Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Whoa. Okay. That was awesome. So, there's a way that if you're in this field listening to this, whether live or on the replay, all of that clearing that Lisa just did was also for you. And so you can receive the benefit of it as easily as just saying so right now, just setting the intention, closing your eyes and saying, everything that was cleared in this space today, I match in my energy field as well, right? And then you just imagine opening up your energetic fingers, letting go of anything that is in resonance with what she just let go of, right? Whatever your version of it is doesn't matter. You have a match, and that's why you're here. And so you can just literally draft off of her clearing and allow it to be yours as well. And from here, I want to just finish up with this reminder for each of us to heed this call for the fierce internal listening that is calling to you, to hear what your soul requires, to know what is or isn't in alignment, to know if there are next steps that need to be taken, and also just to know yourself. That's largely what the listening is knowing yourself, this essence, right? It's not just Lisa who's here to create a path of essence. It's everyone who tunes into this work. That's what we're up to. Being our essence is the means and the end. It is the one and only point. And so from that place, we offer some things in the world and we show up in ways here and there, but we are infinitely anchored in ourselves and as ourselves. And that's where freedom lives. And it's the only truth that ever matters. And so, my friends, here's to beautiful, insightful, delightful internal conversations with yourself. And when you are ready to surface from those, we'd love to share with you and hear what you've discovered over in the tribe. If you're not yet a member, it's facebook.com/groups/Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe. Wild Soul Medicine Radio Tribe on Facebook. And so we'll bring our experience to a close for today with a deep reference for both of the women who shared themselves so freely with us. And until next week. Bye for now.
We light a candle, our hearts awake. Illumination, for God's sake. A revelation, for God's sake. An inspiration, for God's sake. Illumination, for God's sake. For God's sake. For God's sake.